accounts, one where you visit a site as well, and that adds to the prize pool for free. Then there's various things you can do to buy into the prize pool. You can be like Duncan and purchase Soylent. 100% of the cost of the Soylent goes to the prize pool, which is insane. You can be like Flying Finn, Eric Kyoto, and Croge, who have all spent some money to toss it into the prize pool and get a shout out here alongside us a supporter role in Discord. So thank you to Finn, Eric Kyoto, and Croge. It's really great that people are doing that. And then, of course, there's our other sponsor, Inked Gaming, and it looks like we're getting about ready for round one. So our first round pairing that we will be watching is going to be Fight Z versus... Now, The Rock, you're my co-caster for today, as well as the producer, so there's going to be a lot on your hands, but if I'm seeing things right here, Fight Z is on an Argenport Minotaurs, but also splashing time for more Minotaurs, and also is not specifically Minotaurs as heavily. Basically, it's Tavrod splashing for Sword of Unity, right?
And a couple of the other Minotaurs, as you can see. So like Copper Hall Elites and things like that. And then just lots of weapons to draw off the Tavrod. And Interrogator as well.
It's been quite a while since the last time I've seen a lot of Tavrod, so it's actually refreshing to see him back again. As crazy as that might sound for people who remember the Tavrod winter.
Yep.
But then over on Hetman's side of things, that's a fairly stock standard looking Kalis list. Kalis has been shown up in seemingly increasing numbers over time these past few weeks, and I don't know how to feel about that. It's not my personal favorite deck to play with or against.
I think it's interesting. It operates on a different axis, so.
Yeah, it does. And the goal for that is play out a bunch of units that might have good on-death effects or produce multiple units, and then sacrifice them all to a Kalis, Bloodright Kalis, and then hit someone in the face with a giant Bloodright Kalis. And if your Kalis gets killed, you can rebuy it with the new Honor the Fallen? No, that's not it.
Honor the Ancestors?
Honor the Ancestor? Something like that. It's a new reforge that if you have Tribute active, you can reforge right into play.
Yes.
And that, of course, still triggers summon effects, so the Kalis would happen again, and all of your units would combine.
Yep. So we're just waiting on players.
Oh, Kalari, nice. Twitch Prime subscription. That's another good thing to point out. Eternal on Twitch Prime is a thing.
Yes, it is. It's a really wonderful service.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like we're just waiting on the players. But so who do you think has the advantage in this match, Cygnus?
Well, I think it comes down to if Fight Z has enough units to prevent Hetman from actually ever hitting Fight Z with the Kalis, and I think that it's very possible that he does, but also possible that he doesn't, because he also has taken time for stuff like Annihilates and Slays and Stand-Togethers, which I'm not sure this is exactly the matchup for, but the Sabotages in Fights' list also could really help dealing with a Kalis in Hetman's hand.
Yes, that's true.
It looks like players are holding on mulligans for us, so let's not keep them waiting any longer.
Alright, so we are in maybe.
We are. Looks like Hetman is off to a pretty slow start with a hand that does not produce much of anything. Torrent of Spiders is definitely better at producing units after a bunch of your units have gone to the void. Jack Lone is an end game that Hetman's running 2 copies of that doesn't exactly look that good on this board. And well, Honor the Ancestors, another card that's not going to do much for Hetman early. It looks like he will be able to have a turn 4 active Granite Waystone, so he'll be able to get 1 unit out, but he's just not doing anything. So neither is Fight for a couple of turns. He will have a turn 3 Auric Interrogator that he can follow up with a turn 4 Sword of Unity or a turn 4 Comber Minotaur. I forget that Minotaur's name frequently, but he's going for the Sabotage now, and that's going to rip Torrent of Spiders.
Yep, Headman's had a pretty rough start for draw wise, but they should be able to come up the board a little bit.
And now Fightsy knows there's the Honor of the Ancestors in Hetman's hand, but that there's no Kalis. However, he still does have to be wary of a Merchant that could exist in Hetman's hand, because that can go get the Kalis out of the market. The other options are In Cold Blood, Madness, Scrap Tank, and Stone Scar Banner. Speaking of markets and banners, what about Fightsy's market is actually containing 2 banners, both an Argentport banner and a Combre banner, because he feels that's what he needs to do to help with the influence of being a 3-faction deck that's running Argentport cards, because Argentport always has influence issues.
Well,
something about it. It's always had questionable influence.
I disagree now. If you're just strictly a 2-faction, it's fine, but Fitzy's trying to cast double Shadow, double Justice, and double Time, so... And they didn't choose to prioritize one of those combinations over the other, so that's why you see 2 banners in their market.
Yeah, alongside Vanquish, Sword of Unity, and Tavrod. So, I have this idea for a deck that would be pretty much what Fights is running, but also nothing like what Fights is running. Because it would be Tavrod Endurance Rod.
Okay, go on.
So with Answer the Call, you can like go get Tavrod and Rod and Divining Rod and all that stuff, but then it's just that you're playing endurance units instead. I mean, Tavrod's designed to work with weapons, and like Answer the Call can also work very well with units and weapons. Sure, they're not charging threats, which is one of the huge values of Charge Rod, but either way, it looks like Fightsy's gotten it to a situation where he now has a Vanquisher's Blade that killed Jack Lone Gun, putting everything in Hetman's Voidbound. That's actually very relevant as well, in theory. Not in this particular situation, because there's no Kalis for Hetman to be rebuying with his 2 Honor the Ancestors that he's drawn and is feeling really sad about, as he's going to die in Game 1 to Fightsy this turn.
Yes.
Another Sword of Unity, just to add Stand Together to Injury.
I mean, you can never have too many swords.
That sounds like something a hoarder would say.
Tavrod whiffed completely, which seems very hard for this deck to do, but...
It did happen here. So that puts Hetman up 1-0 over Fightsy.
No,
Fightsy will have Fightsy up 1-0 over Hetman. My bad.
So just waiting on players to jump back in, but I think Hetman kind of needs to get a much faster start here. So, because once I
Yeah,
think Fetzy gets rolling with all the overwhelm, it's just so tough for Callus to get to deal with it.
right, and Hetman had a terrible hand there.
Yes. So looks like players took a brief pause after that game, so
It
perhaps
should
someone
be over
needed
soon.
the restroom, things like that. Or needed some caffeine to stay awake. If we have any people over in Europe and Asia and other parts of the non-North American area.
Right. Very possible. Looks like players are in game now, though.
Very good.
Round 2. Fight.
No fatalities in this game, though.
I would say there's a lot of fatalities.
It's not the same.
Depends how you look at it, I suppose. Hetman this time has a hand that's got 2 assembly lines and a Kalis, as well as combustion cells. So it looks like he's kind of towing the line between a Kalis deck and a Jack Lone Gun Tribute deck.
Yeah, I mean, the deck has tons of ways to sacrifice even without combustion cells when you have Callus and Devours.
So, if Hetman has time to play the second assembly line and then a Bloodright Kalis, that's going to be a 12/12 weapon.
That's going to kill lots of things.
Yeah, and right now, Fightsy isn't showing lots of things.
Interesting.
It's
Hetman
also
goes
only
ahead and
showing
gets
3
just a
power.
6/6 weapon.
Wants to go on the harsh aggro because he has a second Kalis. That's understandable. He knows that Fightsy has quite a few decent-sized blockers.
Yeah, but here we're going to see Fightsy go into the market, most likely for a banner of some kind. I'm just going to try to bleed these weapon attacks.
Right.
Hetman going on the aggressive line here. Which they do have another combust in hand, so they could answer something that's not this Copper Hall Elite. So we'll see what line Betsy wants to take.
Yeah, I mean, what really can he be taking here?
He could be considering Copper Hall Elite knowing that combusts are in the deck, so.
Speaking of combusts, there's one Hetman's firing off right now to kill Tavrod and allow him to
Attack
get in
for 7.
for 6 because he's devouring his
Why would you...
Grenadin before attacks for whatever reason.
I'm not sure I understand the Devour there. Like, you just miss a point of damage and you just kind of need things in play.
Yeah.
Now Hetman just has to attack into this Copper Hall Elite.
And Fightsy has to hope that he's got blockers for enough turns in a row here.
Just need 2 turns of
Sabotage
blockers,
really
so.
helps him because he can rip the honor ancestors from Hetman's hand. I definitely go for honor over the Bloodright Kalis because that Kalis right now is a 0/0 and Hetman has no creatures in hand, no units to make the Kalis any bigger. So the other one would be representing a 6/6 Kalis, and this one's representing a 0/0 Kalis, which seems pretty bad.
Yep. So now Fitzy's kind of in the driver's seat here. Just needs to play units and kind of start racing. Although Interrogator's a little scary at 4 to buff up, so
Right, but the thing is, if Hetman keeps drawing blanks like these fire sigils, Fightsy's gonna have plenty of time to stabilize and just turn the game around and deal the 27 points of damage needed to kill Hetman while not taking the 4 points of damage needed to result in Fightsy dying. But you're correct that Fightsy wants to avoid buffing up the Auric Interrogator because 4 turns of a buffed up Auric Interrogator would result in Fightsy dying. But
well, there's a madness.
Man. That madness won't get through. It'll just result in Fightsy.
Yes, but I think Robot Cygnus is back. Run, everybody. We'll find out. So Hetman, I think, is going to think if they want to play this madness or not. I don't know what you'd be waiting for, since Fightsy has to have exactly Annihilate, I believe, is the only fast spell.
Stand together?
Well, yeah, stand together as well. So, but I think Hetman's okay with stand together coming down. He just has to live for 4 turns.
Yeah, you're right there. So it would kind of have to be the Annihilate, and you know, if you soul read Annihilate as the only option, you can Magnus the Interrogator and then Kalis it.
That's true. But, I mean, Fitzy does know about the Callus, so...
Yes, that is correct. Though if you look in Fight's hand right now, there really isn't anything to deal with it.
Yep, so... It's like the players had a question. Not sure if there's a ruling or anything, but we're going to swing it back to the booth for 1 second.
So I think Fightsy definitely has options for how to finish off these Fightsy has various ways to stabilize, but I think Hetman has decent opportunities to finish off these last 4 points of damage, especially with the help of that madness. It might wind up resulting in the Interrogator eating an Annihilate.
Yep, but it looks like the players might have a connectivity issue. I'm not sure if Hetman got disconnected or not.
Oh dear. It's on a mobile client?
We shall see. So we might have a small bug or a disconnect.
Which is resulting in us having to pause here on this board state where I'm not actually entirely sure who would quite count as favored right here. I mean, if Hetman crashes, then I suppose Fightsy's favored.
Yes. Fights also has cards that do things currently, whereas Hetman just has a Callus that has nothing to sacrifice to it, and a Madness that we know will get blanked by Stand Together or Annihilate.
Yes, but I mean, of those cards, what do they actually really do here?
They kill Hetman.
Three of them are kill spells. Those don't kill Hetman.
No.
One of them is a weapon that does add 2 power and toughness, but that could kill Fightsy.
True. So
his only unit is the 4/3 Auric Interrogator.
Yes, but
and one of them is Stand Together, and that could also kill Fightsy.
Fightsy would have
because of
lethal if they
archetype.
went for it. If they put Vanquisher's Blade plus Stand together, as the board stands, Fightsy would win the race, I believe, since they would our interrogator trigger is at the end of their turn, so they could have 7-7-7-7. So
That play might be what winds up. That's 21.
yep,
Oh
not
yeah, they can hit 4 times before death. You're right. Now the danger of playing that route, but also possibly the reason to play that route, is that there are 4 torches in Hetman's deck, so you might feel like you need to be outracing torches, outracing Hetman's ability to draw a torch. But you also might feel like you need to keep yourself above 3 because 3 might essentially be 0.
true.
Does appear that Hetman might be having connectivity issues.
Yep. So we're gonna kick it back. So we'll see if there's some other games going on that we can jump into while this connection happens. So take a brief break, and we'll see everyone back shortly.
Like Fightsy went with the stand together route.
Alright, so we're back. Hetman got reconnected. Yevon. But Fightsy doesn't win this race now unless they had put the Vanquisher's Blade on. And there's a torch off the
And
top.
yeah, Hetman top decked the torch, meaning that this is going to go to game 3 now.
Came back just in time.
Yeah.
Alright. So, for the decider, we saw Hetman went for a very aggressive line that round. You think that is how they should play the game, or?
I mean, when you have the opportunity to, it's important to. But there are times where you don't wind up getting an opportunity to, as we saw in Game 1. But I feel both of these decks are reliant on a couple of different sets of parts, some with more specific parts, looking at you, Kalis, some with less specific parts. Looking at you, 3-color Minotaur's weapons list, Tavrod deck. Stand together, Tavrod. But both of them are in danger of bad hands. I wouldn't call Hetman's hand bad, though. It's got access to Slumbering Stone and Grenadin Drone, alongside an assembly line and that was a Jack Lone Gun on top. So he's going to sit around for a while and maybe wind up providing value later into this game. Fightsy's first unit in play won't actually be that Auric Interrogator because he only has one Shadow Influence right now. That could come back to bite him bad. That is the danger of running this 4-faction deck. So he'll be able to have a Copper Hollow Elite this turn, and another one next turn if he wants. Hetman now has 6 units in play, 5 of which can attack, and he's going for Torch Combust on the Copper Hollow Elite, and then he'll push another 5 damage while also now having the Vengeful Gargoyle in play.
Huh. Hey, I'm back, Cygnus.
Yeah, I noticed you had disappeared. As just a 2/2, the Vengeful Gargoyle seems small, seems rather insignificant, but it's surprising how much damage this little flying boy can deal.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzy has no way to stop flyers, so... outside of just like Annihilate or a Slay, which seems pretty bad against a 1-drop. So now Hetman can attack with all their units for 6 damage.
I mean, he's running 2 Inquisitor's Blades.
Yeah, I think that weapon is to be used offensively and not defensively.
I mean, yeah, but Tavrod has Endurance.
We're a ways away from Tavrod, I think.
Yeah, and also from Inquisitor's Blade, as neither of them have shown up in Fightsy's hand, and it looks like it is going to be the Annihilate on the 2/2. And the Vanquisher's Blade just to make his 6/6 bigger to keep racing.
Betsy wants to race. That's really interesting, I think.
It is an interesting choice, that is for sure.
Because they lose this race, correct? Like, just on
Yes.
board. Now, yeah, Fetzy has to stop attacking.
And the Jack Lone Gun in Hetman's hand isn't going to be doing fancy anything. I mean, Hetman has to draw into a power to be able to play it, and even then, it's not gonna have the tribute active. And a top deck blood, right, Kalis?
That's pretty good here. 10/10 gets to kill this Copper Hall lead in. Unless Fitzy draws a power and or a Shadow Source or a unit they can play, they're just dead.
Sabotage is not going to be one of those. Fitzy gets to look at Hetman's hand, well, specifically at that Honor the Ancestors, rip it from Hetman's hand, and then impale Ashara on Hetman's blade. So, Kalis wins that match.
Yeah, and that was our last outstanding match, so we would take a brief break before round 2.
We shall. And we are back with round two. Today, this round two is going to be Cross versus Papa Capricorn. We're going to get to see more Tavrod. That would be something that I wouldn't be smiling about a few months ago, but right now I actually am excited for that. We will be seeing it versus Papa Capricorn on Volcano Icaria, which is a deck that we've definitely seen very frequently. Though it's the version without any stand togethers after the change. Still running bullet shapers and everything to ramp out your Icarias and Razans and stuff. Fairly standard at this point, and if you look over to Cross's side of things, we do see some new developments to the Argenport list. Of course, when we saw Argenport, it was without merchants being a thing, so there's now a market. Looks like he's going with Winchester Merchant. And also 2 copies of Sheriff Marley. So, Cross has a harsh rule in the sideboard, in the market. How do you feel about that choice?
That's fine. I think Cross was building his deck so because he can get a little slow out of the gates or just needs to clear a board such as like Praxis tokens and things. So just having access to a harsh rule if needed, I think is a very nice touch.
Right. Yeah. It does seem like it could work out well.
They may not get it very often, but when you need it and it's there, it's very nice to have. So I know I've had that same thoughts with other decks to play the markets for like Lightning Storm or Cerso's choice. So
Yeah, it's a deck that you frequently don't want to be board wiping your own units, but sometimes it's just the correct play because the alternative is worse.
yeah. And you can play around it when it's you know that you have it. So it looks like players have jumped into the game. So we're gonna bring that to you right now.
That is correct.
And you see Capricorn with a hand that's pretty reasonable. So
And Cross on a reasonable hand as well. Although the power sources he does have are 2 Argenport banners, which are going to be depleted. He also has a Seek power that he can go get more power off of, and then a whole bunch of units that he can play off that 3 power. Repnath Assassin, Winchester Merchant, Arc Interrogator, and Unseen Command.
looks like they're waiting on us. But so we'll tell the players they can start, and then we'll be off to the races.
Papa Capricorn's on the new-ish Fire Totem.
Oh yes,
I
the
think
dragon.
it's the last one I've seen. Like, it's the one that's taken me the longest time to see. How do you feel about this new set of totems? They only have 1 animation each, which I feel is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but I haven't seen them too often either. So because I know they cost, I think, only gems, so actual currency. Whereas the starter ones you can still buy with gold.
Yeah, there's that there too. But it is, of course, a way to support Direwolf well looking well if you already have all the cards you need because you've had access to Direwolf's very generous loot system.
Yep, cosmetics are a way players can customize their in-game experience, which I think is nice. So some of them I like, some I don't. But I mean, again, you don't have to have all of them. They're not needed to play the game. So
Right. Now, Unseen Commando on attacks is pretty good against a 1/1 baby Ikaria, but it's possible that Ikaria could wind up getting a bit bigger in time, especially since Papa Capricorn has privilege of rank in
yeah, it's
hand.
only one turn away, but well, until they drew Amelie, which I think Amelie is probably going to be played here. We shall see. No.
Ultimating baby Ikaria here to buff up Amelie.
Okay. I don't know what the difference of 4-8 versus 5-9 is in this matchup. Since Cross is mostly on just removal that kills regardless of power and toughness.
Yeah, and the units are either 4 or less toughness or more than 5 toughness.
Yeah, so
So that doesn't really change things either.
Papa might have just been wanting to get them to commit a little more and just they get to ramp a little, which is kind of nice, but now he just has to play this Amelie thing still.
I don't think Papa Capricorn needs to play Amelie at this point. He could be
Good
going
harsh
for
rule.
one last attack and harsh rule, but it looks like he is going to play out Amelie.
I kind of like holding the harsh rule just to have as a button for when things go real bad.
Oh no, my opponent has Tavrod in play now button.
Yes.
Except of course Papa Capricorn does have the Vanquish as well.
So yeah, and Papa's still 2 turns away from this Akara being a real threat. They do have the torch for the commando, which is nice.
Yeah, that's something that Papa Capricorn is going to do right now because every turn that Cross gets that lifesteal damage in.
Yeah, I like holding the
Affects them.
Grenadin because of Merchant. Every other card in their hand they want, so it's very nice. And a 1/1 on the ground isn't going to do a whole lot.
Exactly. Like, there's not really anything a 1/1's going to be chump blocking that you're in a situation where you'd be more interested in chump blocking than getting something out of the market for free.
Yep.
Yep. Tavrod does get torched or vanquished. Torching Tavrod would be pretty useless. Cross goes for Vanquisher's Blade on Winchester Merchant to kill Ikaria since she got bigger. And Papa Capricorn did draw into the Winchester Merchant of his own.
Yep. So I can put the back the power or the Grenadin.
Goes with the power and grabs Ikaria because that's what you do in this situation. And Cross does actually have an opportunity to deal with Ikaria, but how do you feel about that attack there since you...
How is Cross dealing with Ikaria?
Well, he could have double blocked with Winchester Merchants, but
True.
since he attacked in, it looks like he's instead going to go for Macto as an Ikaria blocker. And he knew that Papa Capricorn went to the market, so he, if I'm him, I know that there's got to be an Ikaria coming.
Yeah.
And then Papa Capricorn also top decks a second Ikaria.
Yeah. I'm not sure which if Papa played the market one or not, but they're gonna hold off here, which is interesting.
If I were Papa, I definitely would have wanted to play the one from the market.
Oh, you don't like to keep him guessing?
This is open deck list, and Cross knows what's in Papa Capricorn's market of
Could
the
have got Razan.
options.
saying
if
you
you have
never
the
know.
ability, Papa Capricorn would get Akaria over Razan there. The only other thing I could possibly see Papa Capricorn having maybe gotten out of the market at that time would have been a harsh rule, and he doesn't want that as much as getting an Akaria. Speaking of Akaria, after those attacks, that's going to be an 8/8 Whirling Doe.
Still gonna hold this Akara. It does get double blocked, which makes sense.
Cross. Cross is down to 8, which, well, up to 9 off the. I guess he was just down to 9. I'm bad at math, apparently. Bad at reading numbers.
Math is for blockers. And people actually have to play the game. We just get to watch and commentate.
Exactly.
We just get to tell everyone that they're bad or they're amazing, and we get perfect information. It's great. We don't get to, casters can't punt, right?
Oh, I'm sure we can punt in our own ways.
Chat, defend me.
No. Don't.
Nah. Chat's great. Long live chat.
I mean, I never said chat wasn't great. Let's be fair. Don't put words into my mouth. But playing out Valkyrie Enforcer means that Papa Capricorn can also play Ikaria and hit in for 7, meaning that any one of these 3 units in the air is applying lethal threat, so
Dang.
Slay won't be dealing with enough of them. And that's going to put game 1 in Papa Capricorn's favor. Turns out the axis of the air is usually superior to the axis of not the air.
Thank you, General Cygnus.
Not that axis.
No, I just meant you were talking about ground combat versus air combat. So I made you a general.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. They generally do talk about things like that.
So we're going to get back into the action pretty quickly.
As in right now.
Yep. I think Papa is likely the favorite in this match just because of, again, we said flyers are better than ground blockers, so or ground units worse than flying units.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
It turns out that the place to be if you want to be mid-range is either up in the sky or in the desert. With Teacher of Humility and Sandstorms going around, Mono Time or Praxis mid-range type things are also fairly popular. But
yeah, looks like players might be waiting on us again as well.
It's been heavily Ikaria based since the release of Set 4.
Making Cygnus handle all of the communication work so you guys get a nice pretty screen to look at.
He's so on these pretty screens that he doesn't want me hovering over players' cards because
want a crisp, clean production.
I feel like the production casters knowing as much of what they talk about as possible is more crisp and clean than things not moving around a little bit. I mean, it's a game. They're animations. That's what it's about. Things move around.
Ah, sounds like some of you just need to play Eternal a little more so you know what all the cards do all the time.
What if I hover over Cross's character icon, his player icon, which, by the way, he's one of the players that's sticking to a classic non-premium player icon.
You mean old school. Cross also with the non-premium sigils.
Yeah. Crown Watch Paladin and non-premium Sigils. That's someone who has not been whaling. That's one of the things that you're totally free to do. Play the game without buying into the cosmetics, like Papa Capricorn certainly has been buying into.
And you see a turn 4, a melee,
Yep, that
and dead.
Atari Valkyrie Captain does act as ramp, but if you're ramping into a single faction unit, that unit can die to every single removal spell in Cross's deck, even though the one he used was Slay, which could also kill a multi-faction threat like that. How big is that Razan?
A 6/5. Yeah, it is awkward that
Let's
melee is the
see.
only threat in the deck that doesn't have a comes into play or just like has Aegis or so.
But that comes into play effect on Razan was the only thing that it did before dying.
I still got a little bit of value, so
Yeah, getting Unseen Commando off the board is not irrelevant. But the other thing that's not irrelevant
oof.
is that Papa Capricorn is only at 11, and this hand for him does not do much to deal with a 5/5.
No, I mean, can play 2 flying units and go get a removal spell if needed, or the Ikaria.
Valkyrie Enforcer, break your
Okay,
opponent's Paladin's Aegis, play out another unit.
I like this. I missed the influence requirement, so now the 5/5 enforcer can't just trade 2 for 1 if it was the merchant and the enforcer. So good play on
Yeah,
Capricorn. Bad on casters
forcing
not
an
paying attention.
attack, forcing an attacker into a one on one, a 1-for-1.
Yeah, but Cross is gonna wait on the Tavrod. And then gonna get aggressive with this Valkyrie Enforcer now. I think we
There he
may
is.
see the harsh roll. Yeah, definitely if Papa is blocking to chump, then we're gonna see a harsh roll here. Ooh! Ikaria is a great follow-up though.
Yeah, since she only costs 2, Papa Capricorn can play her now, and she's coming down as a 4/3,
Yep.
who is not going to die this turn because Cross would rather commit the Tavrod, a line that I very much agree with, especially since Cross is at 31.
Cross or Papa could have gotten a small percentage point there by playing the Seek Power just to get remove a sigil from their deck and switch it for the market, but in the end the result's the same as Tavrod is dead.
That is correct.
Cross has to make okay, so they're gonna go with the Slay. Wants to hold the merchant to actually get value out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you were at 27 there. You don't mind taking 2 damage.
They could have taken 6 damage as well, but it looks like yeah, Cross doesn't want this Interrogator. It looks like gonna get probably Mokto or another Tavrod.
In this particular matchup, I feel like you might be priced into taking Macto to block Ikarias, but getting Tavrod also means that you should be more likely to be able to push through those last 9 points of damage. And with Papa Capricorn just top decking Justice Sigils, he's going to need that to be a harsh roll, which is not.
It is a blocker.
Yes, so Papa Capricorn will survive this turn.
Maybe. We'll see what Cross draws.
Papa Capricorn will survive this turn. Another new development that is in Cross's deck is that Cabal Tactic.
Yep, Cross has Cabal Tactics, and I believe I saw Emerald Monuments.
Yes, Emerald Monuments as well.
So 1 Monument and 2 Cabal Standards. So since that was one of the weaknesses of AP mid previously, is that the deck needed lots of power because of all the 5 drops, but didn't have any way to mitigate flooding, so the Tactics, the Monument help with that a lot.
Papa Capricorn flooded out, and that means that we're going to be going on to a game 3 between these two. It seems like it really pays to be the one with the threats after everything is settled. That's how mid-range matchups work.
Yep.
And players are back on it for game 3 on the last game of the match.
I think who's on the plate is a big factor here as well, and it's going to be Papa this game.
That is correct. Play draw is, of course, something that we cannot force in Eternal. And due to that, it's something I frequently don't take into account very much myself.
Whether you're on the play or the draw.
Yeah. That might be a mistake on my part, though.
Yep. Looks like players are ready. I mean, it doesn't matter a ton, especially since we're not changing decks currently after it, but it can change your mulligan decisions or your play patterns, knowing that maybe you get an extra attack in before a hailstorm or a sweeper or like a rune hammer comes down. So it can affect your plays in minute ways, I think.
And I mean, neither of these players are looking to play a turn 2 teacher, which is one of the things that gets even scarier if it's turn 2 teacher on the play.
That it does, but Cross has the early Crown Watch Paladin. Can't attack yet, though.
So, since I'm not supposed to hover over the cards, I'm just going to mess with Cross's totem because
chat asked you
to.
to.
That on the cam.
Oh, hey, look, it went away.
But the scout cam. Oh, no.
It'll be on when there's a scout. I'm quick on the trigger.
Oh.
It's not my first rodeo, guys.
Looks like Papa Capricorn is pressing the trigger on the torch.
Also, I love chat is entertaining our nonsense. They're encouraging us and backing us up.
Yes, that they are. Rune Hammer to kill the one flyer in play. And that Rune Hammer will just be dying to an attack from Papa Capricorn.
Yep. Cross is fairly flooded right now, but they do have a large weapon or unit looming with, I think this is 3 triggers from Crown Watch Paladin now. And Papa, though, can't play the 5 drops, so...
Looks like just 1 trigger to me.
Oh, yes. Papa was on the play and had Bullet Shaper on 2.
Yeah. He ramped out some stuff. And he top decked the power he needed to be able to play a melee this turn and another melee next turn. He's definitely not in a situation where he wants to be harsh rolling.
No, we are not on the harsh roll play in this game.
I do somewhat question not attacking with the Whirling Duo there.
He's playing
Papa.
on just like a Slay from Cross, because Papa doesn't know the Cross is this flooded, so...
Are you worried about taking 4 damage? Even 6 damage if it's
another Vanquisher's Blade?
Vanquisher's
Warcries can add up pretty fast.
I don't think you have to be really worried about that if you're Papa Capricorn, because you're winning this race. Maybe I'm wrong because the 3-3 and 2-3 get outclassed by anything in Cross's deck.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a huge concern here, but yeah, Papa can just attack with everybody. Gets a 2-2
easily has
to block,
the air superiority right now. Sorry, I was talking over you there.
It's alright. Yeah, but here we see what happens when this diesel cycle, thanks RNG.com, that when they're not answered, they just run away with the game and snowball very hard. So Papa not even going to block here most likely, and
yeah, he doesn't need to. Cross is just saying, hey, I'll attack with this unit because I can't block with it. Good game. Good match.
And Razan is going to finish things.
Just say, had all these.
So we saw that Cross was judged in the name of Akari that game, and judgment was not good for them.
No. Did not pass the judgment.
So it looks like we do have a match still left, and it's going to be Safar and Hetman, so we will jump into that in just a moment.
but the judgment was passed. Oh,
You'd like.
and the reason why this match is the last one remaining is because Safar is on Chalice. Hemen, as we had seen in round 1, is on Kalis.
Yep. Do not know the game score. This could be game 3. This could be game 1. You never know with Chalice.
That
But
is true.
judging from the power, it's at least game 2 or 3.
That's what you're feeling?
Well, Zafar only has 7 power, and we are how far into the round? 20 minutes left, so I would hope this is past game 1.
Yeah. There's 56 cards remaining in Safar's deck, so a good nearing half of it, nearing a third of it has been played at this point, or drawn. Showing that even though Safar is at 8 power, this particular game's been going on for a little while now.
Yes.
It's like Hetman decided to make a 6/6 Kalis to kill the Lumen Defender, but now he has more things to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And this Desert Marshal can get in and block an attack if needed.
Looks like that is Safar's plan.
Although it doesn't do a ton, since Headman can just
Safar
chump block.
doesn't have the chalice. Yeah, and Safar doesn't have the chalice to pump up the Comber Healer out of range of that Kalis.
I like this attack, making Safar is trading an Acolyte for a token, which isn't ideal, but it guarantees that Headman has no board, so if they can't like rebuild very easily.
Speaking of trades, Safar also goes into the market and grabs a chalice. Now,
Wonderful. How much that cost?
It cost 1 Island's Choice.
Okay, it's a reasonable trade.
I'm not entirely positive I agree with the attack that Hetman made there. I think I would have wanted to kill the Merchant just because
The power.
it adds power, but then again, at this point, maybe that's not a big enough concern.
I mean,
And
with the Chalice,
killing-
that yeah, Comber Healer gets out of range of the onboard Chalice, so
Yes, but that Callus would be going off board right now anyway, and I suppose Hetman's playing around that he might be honoring the ancestors, bringing back that Kalis without buffing.
well, I meant the healer wouldn't have died to the Chalice because it would have been a 4/7. So, whereas even if an Honor of the Ancestors comes back, you can still kill the Aurelian Merchant.
I think we've both said the same thing in different ways at this point.
Yes, I think
But
you got a
we
little
see
robotic. It was hard to hear you.
But we see that Safar is on the Amaran Camel version of Chalice.
Yes, the most fun version. As far as
Doesn't
content here
take
to
a
just
lot.
yeah. As far as just gonna draw a bunch of cards here, find a way to win with either like a Channel the Tempest or the Recon Tower.
Yeah. How many channels is Safar actually running? It's a low number, isn't it?
I think 2, maybe 1.
That is a one of Channel
One,
the Tempest.
yeah.
So it looks like Safar's planning to win through attacks.
Safarda also has a Lumen Reclaimer if he really wants to keep the game going.
Please don't ever do that to me. Don't do that to us as viewers. Don't do that to the stream's viewers. And don't kill with Recon Tower either, because that would be worse. That
They're making a lot
Chalice
of
is
demands.
why we have round time limits.
Is it?
Yes, we don't want to sit there and, especially when Chalice mirrors were super common. There had to be a time limit, otherwise people would just tournaments would go on for each
Years?
round could be hours long.
That's fine. As long as everyone's having fun.
Looks like Hetman goes to attack with 3 Direfang spiders, trades with each of them, gets tribute, kills the 410 camel. Not entirely confident killing the big camel at this point is the correct choice, because
Of
the
Chalice.
other camel can still be chaliced up further.
Yep. I'm gonna play the game of how high Safar's life can go. And that'll do it. Not sure if that was the game or match, but
Well, it was certainly the game. We don't know if
well,
it was
yes.
the match, though.
We'll find out momentarily. And looks like that was. And Safar wins the match 2-1.
Meaning Safar's picking up another invitational point. Each
Yes.
match win in tonight's tournament is a point.
Yep, so that was the last match, so we will be right back after a brief break, everybody.
And it's Cygnus back with The Rock for round 3 of 4 tonight. This round is going to start with us featuring Eclipser Lowell versus Papa Capricorn. Both of these players are currently 2-0 on Rakano with different lists, that's for sure. Eclipser is actually on a no bullet shaper plan, making use of Spire Chaplain.
Yeah, no bullet shapers,
Chaplain?
and then only 2 Razons, so 4 Rise to Challenge, wow. Not seen that many in quite a while.
Full 4 Rise to the Challenge, full 4 Throne Warden. This is definitely interesting and different take. 3 Spire Chaplains are one card that I've not seen much play from at all. Porters, too.
Oh, wow, yeah, so they just want to make sure they hit their power.
Yeah, both Spire Chaplain and Coverhull Porter, of course, draw the Justice Sigils. They don't play them, unlike Icario.
Yeah, it looks like people, or the players, excuse me, are in-game, so... And I believe we are ready when they are. So, here we go.
We didn't talk about Papa Capricorns nearly as much, but that's because it's very stock standard to the version that people have been playing since Answer the Call got nerfed. Though it is running 3 copies of Harsh Rule in the main alongside 1 End of the Story, and then the 4th Harsh Rule in the market. Seemingly a bit more Harsh Rule heavy. What do you think might be the reason why Papa Capricorn chose to go with more sweepers today?
Could have suspected more aggressive decks or more Praxis tokens. Maybe the Elysian decks is where they would also want harsh rules, just to answer like Cersos and things.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Harsh Rule End of the Story split is supposed to start being more End of the Stories because of the popularity of Answer the Call. Stand together. Stand together.
Very different cards.
Yes.
Potentially, but I think if people, because deck lists are open in tournaments, that people know that you have more end of the stories, they just won't block. So, like, without a way to consistently enable tribute on that card, I don't think it's quite the place to go. More copies of it versus Harsh Rule, but
That is a very good point to make there.
here's a Clipper is just a little power screwed this game.
Yeah. Eclipse are lacking, surprisingly, any of his numerous ways of getting more power. Though he's not very good at getting additional fire influence compared to time or justice influence.
Yes.
But that also means he can very consistently have Ikari Valkyrie Captain active on turn 6. But speaking of Ikaria, the other Ikaria is a long way from being played.
Quite a ways. It's missing double fire and 3 power.
And while all that's happening, Papa Capricorn gets to play another Amelie.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty rough for Eclipser now, but
Second Auric Runehammer as the top deck is not great. He is able to silence this Amelie, so at least no dieseling will be occurring, but at this point, Eclipser is just getting so far behind due to the screw.
yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate.
Woof woof. Get your Frank Aziz in the chat. I bet he's gone to deal with the dog. So I'm solo catching for the moment.
I'm here. No, we need, what's, I forget what Yada's. I think he has a dog one as well.
Oh, Yadabite has a dog.
Yada has
cool.
a million emotes now, though.
Huh. Shout outs to Yadabite for being able to be big on Twitch with Eternal.
Hey, we're all getting there. Game's growing.
Yeah. Whole community. Game's growing, community's growing. Let's keep it that way.
But, so... The Spire Chaplain will get to attack, but is that enough, really?
Not
in the face of this Razan, most likely, but...
It will allow Eclipser to cast the Harsh Rule.
Oh, that's true, yes. I did not notice that. Which is likely to come down, and then Razan, but then Runehammer, so...
Yeah, Runehammer is very well situated against Razans.
But Eclipser is going to be at 3, which is tough facing the Torch deck. So
yeah, Torch and Razan range. Does Papa Capricorn still have the Razan in the market?
I believe so. I don't think they've gone to the market yet this game.
Yeah, so Papa Capricorn just has to go into the market, grab Razan, and play him next turn for
Eclipser
near lethal.
it
is
4, so...
technically lethal because of the Runehammer on Eclipser.
Akaria. It's about the same.
Yeah, Ikaria works too. But Eclipser can play Throne Warden here.
Yeah, they actually need to Torch here, because otherwise, if they Thronehammer plus weapon, that's lethal, correct? They go to 8, take 2. No, there'll be 1 off lethal for Papa. Since Throne Warden gives 4 armor.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But they're still gonna, yeah. Yeah, the math is the same whether they're 8 or 3, because of Papa deck deals increments of 3 damage with their spells and Razans, so...
And
interesting that they chose to play Razan instead of Ikaria there.
Well, the thing is, playing Razan puts Eclipser in range of one attack from Ikaria, and he also can't afford to hit Razan with this Runehammer.
Yep. So what
Because
are
that
they
would
rising for?
Baby Ikaria as a 6/3.
Okay. And to block?
That seems to be the play, but that play is not going to wind up working out.
No, Poppy I can get Merchant for Vanquish or just play the Sicaria.
Yeah, he's attacking with 2 lethal attackers, and Eclipser can only block 1.
Yep, so a bit unfortunate, but Eclipser definitely made it a game though.
He was able to hold up for a little while, but it was not long enough.
So I think Papa is potentially favorite in this pseudo mirror just because Eclipser is missing a little bit of the high-end threats with Razans and Noah Millies. So they're even if Rakano's the deck that wants to be in the air, and you don't have the flyers in the mirror match, I think you're disadvantaged. But we'll see. It is interesting that Eclipser is not the one with the more harsh rules and end of the stories, since they seem like the more controlling deck. But
Eclipser also just kind of needs to get going as fast as possible because Papa Capricorn's more able to since Bullet Shapers.
Yeah.
A Bullet Shaper can ramp out a fast Ikaria, Razan, or a Millie. That Eclipser's main way of dealing with would be Valkyrie Enforcer, I suppose. Runehammer can kill Razan, but not Ikarias, and definitely not Ameli's, who have a lot of health.
Yes, 8 is a lot.
What cards in Eternal allow units to assign damage equal to their toughness? I know there are some.
I
I
can't think
speculate
of
a
anyone.
lot.
Something Impact, I believe. Accelerated Impact?
Yeah, okay, there's Accelerated Impact, and then there's Shard of the Spire. Spire Shard. Shard of the Spire.
Yes.
Which makes your units go up to the bigger of the two when they're played. It's been a while since we've seen people brew with that. In large part because it was never good.
That's true.
Papa Capricorn does lose his Runehammer to Eclipser's Runehammer, which is immune to a single, well, survives as single attack from a Runehammer if Papa Capricorn has a Runehammer. But instead he's going to go with a Millie, who is too big to die even to a hit from Runehammer plus the Torch. So Eclipser sends the Torch away, grabs Vanquish, and uses that to kill a Millie.
Eclipser is trying to be the beatdown this game, so he knows that he just can't match the raw endgame for Papa, so.
The Throne Wardens are quite good against harsh rules. The 4/5 Runehammer also quite good against harsh rule. I mean, a harsh rule right now that Papa Capricorn doesn't have anyway would only remove 2 damage and would still result in him taking 4. So instead he's not able to do that, but he's going to the market and let's see what he gets.
I think they're gonna get Razan. So kills the unit on the board or not finishes off the Runehammer. Potentially so.
Speaking of Razan, Eclipse is going to play his own.
Yep.
Player off Papa Capricorn's board, attack in for 6, having Capricorn's life total down to 6.
Yep. And I'm not sure if the Razan has lifesteal yet, but it can kill
It does
a
not.
merchant. But then
Neither Ruzan does.
this is actually just lethal, right? From Eclipser.
Yeah.
So you stack with the Rune Hammer and then.
However you cut the cake, it's lethal. Attack with the Rune Hammer, then attack with your units. Attack with your units, then attack with the Rune Hammer. Either way, Eclipser manages to pull back with a fairly quick
Now I want some
showing
cake.
as to the fact that his deck can take the cake.
Yeah. Chat, can we get some cake, please?
Damn it, now I want cake too.
I'm sure someone has an emote for cake. Drop all the cakes in the chat. Do it. Do it now. We're gonna get it fired, aren't we? Nah, it's fine. They let Bassoon be a
Yeah,
caster,
exactly.
so.
They've let bassoon cast.
I hope he's
People
in the
enjoy
chat
bassoon
right now.
casting. People enjoy bassoon casting, so let's just strive to be like him.
But players are back in game already.
But I don't mean casting while drunk. He's only ever been tipsy, I believe.
You can't confirm or deny these statements, Cygnus. We have to be unknowing.
Eclipser will have a turn 2 Baby Icaria, which is something that Papa Capricorn will not have.
Yep.
Though he has that Bullet Shaper, which can come down on turn 3, then might result in a massive thing on turn 4.
Yep.
A
Papa had the
maybe?
slow power draw. And here we'll see
Yeah,
Eclipser.
everything in Papa's hand being deleted. But
Yep.
with the use of that torch there to kill Eclipser's first unit, that Bullet Shaper is now just a 2/3 that smoothed over Papa Capricorn's influence.
Just a better Rakano Stranger.
Yeah, I mean, it requires influence to be played, so also isn't a stranger.
So it's not strictly better.
No, definitely not a strict improvement.
Fine. Wonder if Eclipser will block here. Nope. They want to maintain the air advantage. And they have another Valkyrie Enforcer to come down and silence the lifesteal, so. But noticeably, Papa does not have any more power, and his hand is 5 drops and an Icaria. 4 or 5 drops.
That's. There seems to be. I. With
Hold on.
the Tavern Totem?
You repeat that for us? You got robotic.
I'm going to need to express a quality complaint with the Tavern Totem.
Okay.
After you knock down the sign, it blocks off one of the windows,
Okay.
but you can still have people throw.
It's just a smaller window to throw
bottles.
out of.
They totally go through the plank, though.
Oh. That's fine. So. Papa's still missing power. Unfortunate. Eclipser here can go just, yeah. Ultimate Icaria. And setting up to do... They can cast lots of things next turn. Ugh. Papa just not finding power.
Proven to be an issue for him this time, like it
Yeah.
was for Eclipser in Game 1.
So it's fair, right? Happens to both players. Fair and balanced.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Well, this is the nature of a card game, so it's a bit unfortunate to be deciding 2 games here, but... Well, there's a Valkyrie Enforcer to silence Icaria, I would assume.
Well, they're not cakes. Cross has some cookies to
A
throw
cookie?
at us. Yeah.
After they got timed out. Nightbot! I'm sorry, Cross. Reshef is not here to fix Nightbot.
We really need to
Cross, don't you
make
have a match to
Nightbot
play?
less aggressive. His match might already be over.
Not according to the website.
Maybe he's doing both.
Fair enough.
Just like we're both dadding over Cross and watching this match, casting this match between Papa Capricorn and Eclipser. Looks like Eclipser's going with an all-out attack here.
Yeah, just trying to push as much damage as possible. I'm not sure about that line. I guess... Although all these attacks kind of make sense, except for the Icaria. Like, Copper Hall Portal gets you the power you need to cast Razans soon, so...
Yeah. Eclipser is now able to cast Razan, and that would put Papa Capricorn to 1.
But there is a power for Papa, so he can draw one more. He can potentially stabilize. He's going to go ahead and fire off both of these Vanquishes.
To kill the 4/4. Attack with both the ground units because they aren't going to be doing any blocking anyway.
Yep.
And Eclipser top decks a
the
Fire
Icaria.
Sigil.
Oh, they do not play the Icaria, though.
Doesn't go for the Icaria anyway?
I think that would have been a better line because if Papa had a power for the harsh rules, that Eclipser would still have
Icaria
lethal, but...
Warcry.
What?
Icaria has Aegis and Warcry 5. You go for
Right.
the Aegis and Warcry 5.
That's what I think. But Papa
Like
does not
I
have a way to
said-
punish, so...
Like, Eclipser even quoted me on. If you can play Icaria, it's usually right to. Like, if you have an Icaria that you have the ability to cast, chances are you're probably supposed to be casting that Icaria.
Yes, here they decide to cast it. Eclipser might get be a little nervous playing on a feature match, so...
But he still takes that match, leaving him as...
The lone undefeated player currently. I don't know,
Not
Safar is
necessarily.
still... Yes, Safar is undefeated as well. They're still playing.
So, the players, of course, get a invitational point for each match win, and I believe 2 for participation.
Yep, so we will go jump into... I'm not... I think 1. I'm not sure on the numbers exactly, but... Looks like Safar and Fitz are still in game, so we'll jump into them.
This, of course, does mean that the point ranking that you see there is no longer accurate because players like Zafar have been here and have been doing well, but other players on that list are not here today.
Yes.
Tonight.
So we're going to jump in. It is game 3, so tied up. Oh, Croge brought us some popcorn. That was nice of them.
Thanks, Cred. Fightsy, Zafar's opponent here, is actually one of those players that is looking to get into the top 16 right now. Currently sitting on 4 points. Well, 6 is currently the lowest number of points. He'd need to get 7 to be able to get into that top 16. And that is something he definitely could do today with a win here. Now, he is currently paired up to Safar, being a 1-1 right now.
Yep, and here's a giant Aegis unit. And so far, I don't believe they have anything to answer this. They do have a Lumen Defender in the market.
Thanks
Or
to
no, Lumen Reclaimer, so... I guess they could get Shush to pop Aegis or the channel, but they're gonna need to block potentially soon.
Channel the Tempest pops the Aegis and gains Safar a decent amount of life off the Amaran Camel, but the blocks here are just chumps because alongside the deadly lifesteal Aegis and Warcry, there's also Overwhelm because Sword of Unity is a strong card.
Yes. But Safar was able to draw into some answers. It's got a lot of life to slog through, but I don't think Safar's deck cares about their opponent's life total that much.
No, not really. For all Safar cares, he could just win the game in 51, I guess 53 turns once the recon tower flips.
Yes. So yeah, we're going to see the recon tower put in work. Maybe.
For now, it looks like he's more interested in spending his time drawing more cards with Crystalline Chalice.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be chalicing a bunch, activating recon towers. Safar is doing everything his deck wants to do.
Yep.
Because in theory, if you draw more cards than your opponent, you win the game.
Especially since the card draw is giving him 2 life per card.
Yes, and we see the recon tower has flipped, so...
For fights, so you can get Tavrod, Sword of Unity, Vanquish, or Banners. I suspect he will be going for the Banners, so the options are Tavrod and Sword of Unity.
Yes. Not sure how much either one matters currently, but...
If this merchant survives the turn, well, it should because of the stand together and fights his hand as well. I do definitely agree with the choice to get the sword. Because fights it can now fire off the stand together, and next turn play Sword of Unity with stand together.
Yep.
And go for some more attacks with a... This one will be 9/9, but it'll also have flying.
And have to get through this sandstorm.
Yeah, never mind that flying statement. That
Oh look, a
is
Vanquish
moot.
too.
Well, I did say if it survives the turn.
That's true.
Annihilate is just not enough for fights. We see that he's already used the harsh rule that was in his market. And due to that, I think that this game is just over, really. It's going to take several turns for the victory and defeat screens to show up, but it's over at this point. There's not a way for Fightsy to come back at.
I don't
anymore.
think so. But it should take a long time before Safar actually defeats Fitzy, so...
Unless Fightsy somehow managed to silence Safar's one Lumen Reclaimer and Safar manages to deck out, but 34 cards are going to take more time than Fightsy's 36 life, and Fightsy's done with taking more time.
They would like to play a different game.
A game against not Chalice.
I think that's reasonable.
Meaning that Safar and Eclipser are both sitting on 3-0.
Yep, so... That will likely be the feature, barring any weird pairings, so... And that was the last match, so we will take a brief break and be right back.
All right, this is it. This is going to be the final round, round 4. Eclipser Lowell versus Zafar. Both these players are 3-0. Both these players are rocking Justice, but beyond that, there is no similarity between these decks.
Yeah, it's gonna be Rakano mid versus TJP Chalice. It's new school versus old school, really.
Yeah, that it is. Though you could also say that Rakano Mid used to be a thing. It's just changed a
Uh,
lot.
I don't think Rakano mid was a thing. I think it was more aggro, but
Okay.
so it looks like the players are ready. So we will dive right in. Don't want to keep everyone waiting.
That is correct. An important thing to note here is that Sandstorm Scarf in Safar's market.
Yes, that's gonna be huge. Since that's what the Rakano deck is kind of taking advantage of, is that there's not a lot of air combat currently.
Yeah, there's not a lot of air combat outside of the Rakano deck.
Yeah.
Which kind of means if you want to be outside of the air, you want to be doing it in time, in the desert.
Yep. It's really interesting that Sandstorm is caused by a scarf.
Well, it's Sandstorm Titan's scarf, and if you look at the magical scarf, it turns into Sandstorm.
Yes. But yeah, we'll see Eclipsers.
You were almost right.
Eclipser? I'm learning.
Yes. Yes, it
Only
is
takes
Eclipser.
5 matches. But yeah, Eclipser just gonna go and ramp up a little bit, so I don't need to play Valk Enforcer just yet.
Sandstorm Scarf shows up already.
Yeah, that's gonna make this game real tough.
Yeah. That and all the removal spells.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Ikaria does play decently well into decks that don't really have a lot amount of fast speed interaction because she at least gets to get in once, even though getting in might just mean hitting blockers now that Sandstorm Scarf is a thing.
That's true. Safar has no Scorpion Wasps. So they're gonna have to 2-for-1 themselves to get rid of this Ikaria should it come down.
And even looking to 2-for-1 himself on the 4-4, as we saw Safar decide to fire off a Vanquish on the Throne Warden's Aegis.
I like the attack with the Ikaria there. You're pretty far from the influence, and you know that Safar just has tons of harsh rules and end of the stories, so.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Although. Oh no, yeah, it is ultimated, I believe, correct already?
The Ikaria has ultimated, yes.
Okay.
Safar's at 10. Eclipser has 2 Ikarias in hand. If Eclipser top decks undepleted power here. Oh, that's depleted power.
You got half of what you wanted.
I'm glad that Eclipser is choosing not to play the Valkyrie Enforcer here because of the deadly unit that he knows that Safar has some of in the deck.
Yes. That was a very heads-up play. Here, unfortunately, that Safar did draw an Island's Choice to combo with the Desert Marshal.
Yeah, this together will be dealing with the first Ikaria. But there's another Ikaria, and she still gets her Warcry effect.
Yes.
Here's Lumen Defender. And
Safar makes the
Pump
wise
on
choice of keeping the Defender active should another Ikaria come down.
Ooh, Eclipser has a great top deck there with a Rise to the Challenge.
What are they going to go get? They're going to get what got Akaria buffed or something else? Maybe more Akarias?
I go for the
More
Ikaria
Akarias.
because the thing that got Ikaria buffed should reasonably be around the top 5 cards of your deck.
Likely in this because there's so many units and weapons.
Yeah, and you have plenty of time for that to happen. Well, getting another Ikaria just means Ikaria buff it more.
Yep.
And it was also a Winchest Merchant, so
So
so a
not the
7/5 Ikaria is
so we have more Akarias coming.
yeah, as good as, if not better than a 8 or 9/7 Merchant.
Yep. So they do have all four Akarias and just the two Razans. So they knew
Yeah.
which Rakana Legendary they preferred to max out copies of.
I would agree with Eclipser on the choice there. Razan is strong, but
Akaria is Akaria.
even in his voice lines, he's a tribute to Ikaria.
But yeah, this Warcry hit, not the greatest, was just a Copper Hall Porter, but these are still, they are threats now. Whereas before they would just do nothing in the face of Amar and Camel and Lumen Defender.
Yeah.
So here we'll see Safar can Shush plus Vanquish. But
Or is there a world where you vanquish plus Shush?
oh, okay. No, because you've seen two Akarias. You know, there's only 3 in the main and 1 in the market, and Shush doesn't affect the market. So they did top deck a Combra Helio to pop the Aegis instead of Shush. So
Right. Yeah, I was forgetting that the last Ikaria is out there in the market. My bad.
yes. So we could see the Clippers market away the Vanquish. Doesn't really have any targets in this matchup, so
I'm on camels.
yes, but I think at that point,
At
the
that
ship
point,
is sailed.
you're already fighting a losing battle. The harsh roll that's in the market is also something Eclipser could be interested in getting, but he won't be getting because if I Hush the merchants, that's a use for Hush that I hadn't really thought of.
Yeah, just
Very strong use.
it's almost removing 6 or 7 cards from your opponent's deck, really.
Yeah.
But Clippers doing what they can to push damage, so
But for now, that's just breaking blockers. Though Safar doesn't have a way to activate the tribute on that end of the story. So he's going to start by drawing, and he's going to continue by drawing, as in playing. No, he's going for end of the story now. Okay.
Sakari is still going to get another Warcry, though.
That is correct.
I think Eclipser would prefer to have these be spread out. Okay, so there was a unit they hadn't drawn yet with the card. And the Merchant is just a 12/12 for 3. Still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, a 12/12 for 3 is good, especially if Safar fails to draw into something good off his 2 draws this turn, but he also gets 2 draws this turn.
Yep. Should scout first because they're looking for specific cards, I believe, but
But nope, he just top decked another power, another sigil. Though, crest, I should say.
yeah, and now they would have had this Island's Choice in hand, so Akaria gets
Yeah.
another Warcry.
That is correct. Eclipser gonna fire off his scout before the attack.
It doesn't matter much for them since a unit here that's +10/+10 is very good either way, so
Yeah, but if it's not a unit, push
You
more
bought him, yep.
towards it, or if it's either way, yeah.
But yeah, we see just minor sequencing might cost so far this game that I would have imagined they were in control of, but Now they
Well,
are throwing tons of chump blockers out, so.
Zafar still is at 24 life
True.
and has access to the market, which is something Eclipser will never have for the rest
Oof.
of this.
That is a big Aegis unit.
It is.
But Island's choice is going to come down here and then tidy up the non-Aegis threats from Eclipser, so. Here you just double block and kind of let Amber Ring plus Chalice take you to victory.
Yeah. Safar's able to make a blocker every turn.
So this turn they sequenced the crest first, so they realized they're sequencing earlier. Ugh, now we get the Lumen Reclaimer that, let's just do this all over again.
Yeah.
Safari can activate Amber Ring still. Since it doesn't matter anymore how big their units are, they don't have Overwhelm or Flying, so very tough to win this game now.
I think that this game is over at this point. There's no longer a route to victory for Eclipser, barring excessive misplays from Safar.
Yeah, but Safar, I believe, has played this deck for a couple of our events now, so they most likely know what they're doing.
Definitely familiar with the strategy of a Chalice list.
Oh, there's a big Razan, but there's just no way to get through this board.
Exactly.
Sorry, even when we got Passage of Aeons, which I don't think does much, but
it's kind of a why not at this point.
It's fair. I see the Rumor Reclaimer come down now. Wondering what Safar wants to block with, so. Is he just going to let them gain a bunch of life every turn?
I mean, he can. He doesn't mind.
It just makes Recon Tower's job harder.
Well, it's not Recon Tower at this point. It's mill out Eclipser.
That is also an option.
By normal draws.
So yeah. Eclipser also needs to be aware that he needs to play 2 more games if we think they lose this one, so. And it's hard to do that against Chalice when there's 33 minutes left, so.
Yeah. At this point, it is, in my opinion, in Eclipser's best interest to just take the concession here.
Yeah, we'll see if they keep playing.
The answer is yes. Eclipser rises for an Auric Rimmer, with which he will kill a camel. Except not, because Desert Marshal.
A camel that has
also
done more than its job.
Yeah.
As long as this board stays the way it is so far, isn't really incentivized to do a whole lot, right?
Right. And one of the things I personally dislike about Chalice decks is that a situation like this can occur where a player is beat but doesn't want to concede because he wants to subject the Chalice player to the time it takes to win a game with a Chalice deck. And
But that's what Chalice players are prepared to do.
exactly,
I do
that's what
respect
the
someone
Chalice player's prepared to do.
making them kill you, but you also have 2 more games to play, so.
And at this point, it just you kind of run out of things to cast. This is where we begin to fill time with talk of
Other things.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Eclipse is done with it.
Decided that was the final straw.
Yeah. Another Chalice? No, not from me.
Players are back in game already, so. Alright, well. We'll bring you one side of the match. Caster is giving some advice first. Maybe giving a little pep talk.
Casters aren't supposed to be biased. Casters don't have biases. We're here to watch Safari versus Eclipser.
Yes. We are completely objective in our thoughts and opinions of decks.
That's objectively false.
Don't tell them.
I just wanted to use objective in response to your statement of objective.
Fine. Alright,
Now,
so.
Runehammer gets to kill a 1/1.
Nice. Killed a 2/1 as well. But both of
Yes,
them
it did.
both of them drew cards.
Yeah. It kinda doesn't feel like a 2-for-1 in your favor at that point.
Nope. And yeah. Safar knows not to take the bait with the Copper Hall Porter, so.
Eclipser will be able to play the 5/3 Spire Chaplain
That's true.
and get it vanquished.
Yep. Oh look, Safar found a Chalice at the market. It was a
What
lucky
a
day for them.
surprise. Yeah.
I hear those are a pretty penny to buy.
I mean, what did it cost him here?
Just a harsh rule. Just Roland.
Okay, so like it just cost Roland's honor. Just cost Roland's honor. So
Exactly. Or as Holy Phoenix would say, Roland did nothing wrong.
I kept my oath for the good of all, no matter the cost. You also killed
Why did
millions of citizens, from what I can understand.
we miss the chaplain not attacking on that turn? Into the 2/5?
We might have.
I'm not sure
But
about
here's
they playing around
Vanquish.
Island's choice, but think I might have missed that.
Are we sure Eclipser didn't play Chaplain this turn?
They might
No, he
have.
played the Hammer.
I was not totally focused, so I look away for 5 seconds.
Talking about Roland's war crimes.
It's true.
Those rune hammers don't look too great anymore. Oh, 12 life is something that Eclipser is able to get through.
I think 13 life is a bit of a misnomer for a deck with a Martin Camel and Lumen Defenders and Combat Healers, so...
You're not wrong. So, what Eclipser was looking to do there in holding off on the concession was that there is a potential for a world where he could have used a Valkyrie Enforcer to silence Safar's one of Lumen Defender? Reclaimer. Yes, Reclaimer.
And deck so far?
Yes, because apparently Safar was on like 14 cards in deck, while Eclipser was on 30.
Okay. I didn't do the math if the reshuffle would impact that, but I guess if that's the case, then if they thought they had a way to win, then that's fine with them not conceding. So
yeah, that is a perfectly reasonable choice to not concede when you have a line that might let you win. Though for now, Safar is still around that 14 life mark. And no longer has things to rapidly change that. Also worth note, he didn't get Sandstorm Scarf here. I don't agree with that choice. I agree with this choice. But on what earth are you supposed to care about Eclipser's Auric Runehammer?
Don't know.
Or his Throne Warden? Did Safar just forget about Sandstorm Scarf? Is Safar trying to prove a point that Chalice can beat Rakana without Sandstorm Scarf?
Not sure.
So far, it looks like it might be able to, because Safar is definitely having better draws than Eclipser at this point.
Yeah, I don't know now. This game's kind of a little awkward, but Safar does have Amber Ring plus Chalice going, so... Runehammer, killing 1/1s, what it was made to do.
I'm pretty sure that's not what it was made to do. I think it was...
Were you there when it was made? Did you forge the weapon?
Sarah, I'm gonna have to tell you that that information is classified.
Fair enough. Just like my identity. And Clippers is done much faster this game.
Doesn't want to suffer or make chat suffer through another...
And he spoiled
stall.
the ending. No! And Clippers gotta learn not to comment in chat till the match is over. It's all right. And that was actually the last match. This is a very fast round. So, looks like, yeah, so far we'll be in first
So
at the end
far,
of this, so.
yeah, so far we'll be crowned today's victor, and we'll be gaining around 5 points, jumping him up into 20, maybe 6 points, 22, 21, getting better, cementing the 8th place that he's currently sitting in.
Yeah.
Well, other players that are getting good value out of today's tournament would be Fightsy, who should be able to make it into the top 16 for now off of today, and Ice or
The Clippers, yeah, right there as
yeah,
well.
Eclipser as well.
So yeah, these standings are before the tournament today, so they'll be updated again on our Thursday event. You can see on our lovely calendar right here. So another Thursday event at 2 p.m. Eastern EDT. So it's a time that's more beneficial for our non-NA
European
players, so EU and
community.
Russia and those, and then Casual Friday, 6 p.m. EDT, and our last Sunday challenge for the month is this Sunday at 12 p.m. And it's different because it's
Yeah,
Conquest with 4 decks and a ban and top 8, and gives lots more points if you make the top 8. So
yeah. If you haven't had an opportunity to get a bunch of points yet and try to get your way into that top 16, that is a very good way to do it. Dive into the Sunday challenge, and even without any invitational points yet this month, you have a very decent chance of, with a good finish, being in that top 16.
yes, I believe, yeah, just top 8ing is 10 points. So that would put you right up in there automatically. So we'll see how this race kind of heats up in the last week. Everyone that's at right on the edge might be fighting for those last point or two. So it'll be exciting to watch next week.
Yeah, players like Cross, Dr. Pringles, Sono, Bruised by God, Second Blue, Isokron, Jez, and now Safar should be pretty comfortable with where they're sitting, that's for sure. Those are the top 8. They might not wind up finishing in the top 8, but I feel like at this point they're very, very likely to be finishing in the top 16, which is all you need to do to have your opportunity to play for the cash prize, which is paid for through Matcherino. You can go to Matcherino and add to the prize pool of the Invitational for free. That prize pool is currently over. I mean, I'm technically allowed to say over $117 because of the
That's what
one
the
extra
sign
cent
tells
in
you.
there. That is technically correct.
Yes.
But yeah, you can add to the prize pool for free by using our coupon code ECL August 18, and by following some of Matcherino's sponsors on Twitter. You can see links to that below the part of the page that the link will direct you to. And then there's various other rewards you can purchase, or you can just throw in some of your own money if you want to. And that money all goes to the prize pool here to support Eternal having a competitive community and the growth of this game that hopefully you enjoy because you're here watching.
Hmm. Excuse me. Yeah, we
Our
appreciate
other
everybody
sponsors,
coming out and supporting us and watching. So
our other sponsors, Inked Gaming. Then we have our various contributors, Kaleri, who built the website that we're using, eternaltournaments.com, and was tournament organizing today. Dr. Hero for being a hero. The Rock for being a amazing combo caster and producer today. Me for stepping over words and thanking myself in the shoutouts. That's Cygnus Infinity. Captain Team Bro for some of the most beautiful graphics that we have in our setup, like the owls. I love the owls. Overmaster, Ahorn Delphin, and then the people who've spent money so far. Katsuko Mu, Rechef, Duncan Wren, Eric Kyoto, Croge, and Flying Finn, who doesn't have his name up there quite yet.
Oop, that was my fault. Flying Fan, if you're in the chat, we'll get you added as soon as we can.
But I think that's all we really have for you tonight. So we hope to see you guys on Thursday, or if you can't make that, be here for the Casual Friday.
See ya.